Putin and Trump are similar in ways that could be fatal to nations. Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump share some similarities. Putin plans to occupy at least some of Ukraine, if not the entire country, as his military attempts to destroy it. If he is successful, he will be inducted into the Hall of Infamy alongside other despots who ruled over virtual cemeteries. According to the adage, pride goes before destruction, then imperial hubris always leads to the slaughter of innocents. Trump's sacrilegious claim to be the only person who can save the nation in defense of freedom would turn the dream of a unified America into a civil nightmare, since he means by freedom the power to eliminate all who oppose his vision of America as an exclusive golf club for white nationalists, evangelicals, bona fide heterosexuals, paramilitarists, antisemites, asylum seekers, new immigrants, and those who think of book banning as a form of education. As Lincoln put it, of, by, and for the people, not any one person or one group, his America would be incapable of functioning as a preeminent nation to which oppressed and persecuted people around the world still look with hope for salvation and freedom. We can argue over the precise definitions of words without fear of being eliminated, but those who don't bow down to Putin and Trump's demagogic slogans will be. As a result of feeling threatened by the new constituencies in today's America, many people are willing to give up their individuality in exchange for the false sense of significance that comes from aligning oneself with the two Orwellian Big Brothers. Instead of relying on his brilliant mind boxes to prove his superiority, the former president should broaden his education by reading more enlightening works. His comfort in having access to secret information puts the country at risk. On Saturday, the African leaders who came to Russia the day before from Ukraine for their self-proclaimed peace mission will meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. On Friday, 7 African leaders, including the presidents of Comoros, Senegal, South Africa, and Zambia, the Prime Minister of Egypt, and top envoys from the Republic of the Congo and Uganda, traveled to Ukraine to try to help bring an end to the nearly 16-month-long war. The African leaders met with Putin on Saturday in St. Petersburg, where the Russian president was attending a business forum. On Friday, Putin announced at the forum that Russia had sent its first tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus as a deterrent against Western efforts to defeat Russia in Ukraine. The beginning of the deployment was previously stated to occur in July. Putin responded that there was no need for him to order the use of nuclear weapons on the battlefield in Ukraine, but that Moscow could use its nuclear arsenals if there was a threat to the Russian statehood. In that case, you can be sure that we will employ every available resource of the Russian Federation. That, he emphasized, should be beyond any reasonable doubt. For Africa, which depends on food and fertilizer deliveries from Russia and Ukraine, the mission to Ukraine, the first of its kind by African leaders, carries particular importance. One of the world's most significant breadbaskets has seen its exports hampered by the war. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said at a press conference on Friday that, this conflict is affecting Africa negatively, after meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and 4 other African leaders in private. While acknowledging the severity of the fighting, Ramaphosa and others insisted that all wars must end and reaffirmed their commitment to doing what they could to hasten that day. I agree with you that many Ukrainians feel they have no choice but to continue fighting. It's a long and winding road to peace, he admitted, but this conflict needs to end sooner rather than later. The various African perspectives on the war are represented in the delegation, which includes President Macky Sall of Senegal and President Hakainde Hichilema of Zambia. While Egypt, Zambia, and the Comoros voted against Russia in a UN General Assembly resolution condemning Moscow's invasion last year, South Africa, Senegal, and Uganda have avoided doing so. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union was a staunch ally of many anti-colonial movements in Africa, and as a result, many African countries have maintained close ties with Moscow ever since. Comoros President Azali Assoumani mentioned the possibility of a roadmap to peace during a news conference on Friday, prompting questions from Zelensky, who wanted more information and insisted he didn't want any surprises from their meeting with Putin. With such divergent positions, peace talks between Ukraine and Russia are unlikely. As a prerequisite for negotiations, Ukraine demands that Russian troops withdraw from all Ukrainian territory they currently occupy. Crimea was illegally annexed by Russia from Ukraine in 2014, and the Kremlin wants Ukraine to recognize this and other territorial gains by Russia. At the end of February, China made its own peace proposal. The plan was largely rejected by Ukraine and its allies, and the warring parties appear to be no closer to a ceasefire. Ukraine has launched a counteroffensive with Western-supplied advanced weapons in several sections of the more than 1,000-kilometer, 600-mile, front line in an effort to dislodge the Kremlin's forces from occupied areas, coinciding with the launch of the African peace mission.